My Life is the Great Controversy by Seth Coe. Growing up, God wasn't in our house, said Thomas Hines. The most I heard about God was when my father cursed his name in vain. In 1961, Thomas was born number 6 of 7 children to a working poor family in Spring Valley, Minnesota. He described his household as ungodly and without guidance, even though his father would sometimes take him and his siblings to attend the Southern Baptist Church. Hearing the pastor yell from the pulpit that he would burn in hell made Thomas think, I don't want to be a part of this. Still, that yearning for something more sat deep in his core, and his search would continue as he grew up. When he reached 18, Thomas joined the Marines, then the police force. He says, he did everything society was telling me I was supposed to do. Led by uncertainties, he wandered from the Methodist Church to the Lutheran Brotherhood. When the question of marriage came up in his life, he decided to get baptized in the Catholic Church to get married at the altar. I was doing it for man's purposes, not for God's purposes, he explained. Still, he attended church, mostly to please relatives, but he hoped to find God, because something was still missing. A seed is planted. One day, as Thomas cast his line into the river for trout, he peered at the empty sky above. "Where are you, God?" he cried out. "Where are you?" He set his fishing rod aside and lumbered around a nearby willow tree. It then struck him as a gust of wind. He recalls feeling the Holy Spirit touch his heart. It was not to change him at that very moment, but to plant a seed, so that when I was ready, he said, I would be able to accept Jesus. Thomas sought to water that seed by exploring different churches, but fell once more into feelings of doubt and confusion. He drifted back to the Baptist church, where he sought to be rebaptized. The pastor, however, told him it was unnecessary, which left him feeling unfulfilled and frustrated. It was about this time when Thomas's younger brother extended his hand and offered a place in his home. One day, Ken and Ann Brown of the SDA church knocked on the door. They were traveling through the neighborhood, passing out biblical works like The Great Controversy. Thomas had vague knowledge of the SDA church, but had never experienced it. When the Browns offered Bible studies, the brothers were elated. They loved spending each Sabbath learning in communion with friends. For the next few months, Thomas was back on the path to finding peace under the guidance of the Browns and his brother. That path, however, is as narrow and treacherous as they come. February 2025 brought anguish that seemed to tear the path out from under Thomas's feet. His brother fell terribly ill. After several hospital trips, he was placed into a coma, for nothing more could be done for him. However, he was not alone during this time, for Ken and Ann Brown came to his side. They sang to him and they prayed over him, Thomas recalled, and I know that he was with Jesus when he passed on. Sadly, Thomas did not lean on his faith to heal his wounds, but turned to alcohol to numb them. He sat wishing that he would die also. He would again cry out, God, why are you taking him now? He's helping me. He was alone, confused, and lost once more. It was during this great drought that the hands of Ken and Ann reached into his darkness and held him steady. Not only them, but Pastor Tony Ferreira of Countryside SDA Church came in and supported him. For the first time, Thomas was met amid his turmoil and accepted as he was. In July of 2025, a blood clot the size of a golf ball lodged itself in his heart, leaving him hospitalized with a blood pressure of 60/40. Thus, the faith journey of Thomas Hines was presumed over when he was put on hospice. I'm not looking at living anymore. I'm looking at dying, he expressed. The disease in his heart sought to strangle the seed before it could sprout. Who comes to see me when I'm on my deathbed? He shared. Ken and Ann Brown. As they did for his brother, they sang to him and prayed over him. About that time, Thomas moved in with his stepson in St. Cloud, Minnesota. He and his brother had been discussing baptism, and Thomas still held that desire, now more than ever with his impending death. He expressed it to Pastor Tony and Ann and had the event scheduled. Thomas confessed his faith to the Countryside congregation with Pastor Tony at his side. I stepped into the water with fear for God, and I went under the water, and the pastor pulled me out, and I took my first breath of life. His first breath among the company of people who truly accepted him. After that, Thomas said he broke the rules and graduated from hospice by refusing to die. After his baptism, his heart function increased from 15% to 25%. Ever since then, every aspect of his life has been so much better. Instead of dying, that seed planted by the Holy Spirit all that time ago sprouted like never before, and Thomas knew where he was called. Before, church attendance was a reluctant obligation. Now, when he falls ill and misses a service, his friends from Countryside Church call to ask if he is well, and he experiences the kindness and graciousness of God through community. Thomas says, "My life is the great controversy." He has experienced that push and pull through all the years. Questions and doubts tore at his mind, physical ailments racked his body, and loss halted his faith journey. It was a gust of wind from the Holy Spirit and the warmth of two friends singing to him that focused his mind on what mattered. At the age of 64, he has found peace in the love of Christ, who has guided him to his homecoming. "If someone doesn't believe in God," he said, "all they gotta do is look at me and see that Jesus works."